football. Everybody's looking at me like it's that time. Sorry. No, I'm in my own world. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the study session. It is Tuesday, January 9, 601. I'll call the meeting to order with the Pledge of Allegiance to our right. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. I assume no changes to the study session agenda?
That's correct. No changes.
Any communications for the study session?
No communications.
Okay. This time, we will go into executive session for the performance of a public employee. This is superintendent's mid-year evaluation session with the board. We will go into executive session for 54 minutes, leaving with no action to be taken at 6:55. And like I said, we will come out of that not taking any action.
Les?
Yes.
While she's doing that, just a question for you.
Sure.
So you used to teach Spanish.
Yes, I did.
You went Spanish.
Yes, I probably was. There's a lot of that around here.
How long have you been principal now?
This is my 10th year at Summit View, which I'm not really sure how that happened. I think part of the pause happened in moving into the freshman campus for 2 years during construction, having to shut down, a pandemic, moving to the new building. So that 5-year stretch is like a blur in my world. All right. So again, this is Jennifer Sanderson, who is one of the most amazing employees at Summit View. She does so much for our kids. She is the most outside the box thinker. I cannot express the amount of gratitude I have for her and what she does for staff and kids and me.
Thank you. Wow.
It's true.
And now I'll probably lose about half the words on here. Can you hear me from there?
Put the microphone on your face.
Get it nice and up there. Okay. All right. So tonight I'm going to talk to you about the multisensory learning that has been going on at Summit View and why we've started doing it. There we go. So in 2018, the state Senate wrote this bill 6122, and of course it's a lot longer than the paragraph that you see there. But the nutshell of it is that we needed to start screening and intervening with students who have dyslexia or are showing signs or weaknesses that are associated with dyslexia. And then we also need to communicate with the parents or guardians of those students as well. So tonight, the intention is just to talk to you about our intervention process and what we've been doing. Though we did start screening in the winter of 21 when we were up at the freshman campus still with Apple Valley. We did start piloting some of those screening processes and starting to work on that. So first of all, why? This is what a standard brain tends to look like when it's thinking about reading. Where is it there? This area is lit up by the auditory use, like phonological awareness. This section is used more for word meaning, and this section over here is used for the orthographic mapping or figuring out the letter associations with the sounds. In a dyslexic brain, generally speaking, this area right here, but a little bit larger, is trying to deal with all three areas. And so with multisensory learning, what we're doing is carving maps of neurons, connections, whatever you want to call it, all the way back into those other two areas to hopefully smooth out the learning a little bit for these kids. Those maps aren't there the way they are for a standardly wired brain, I suppose. It's not, I guess it's looked at as a deficiency, but they're just wired a little differently. So we're trying to help their wiring develop. I forget my computer's back over here. So this is the path that Summit View took. Starting in 21 and 22, all of our kindergarten teachers were trained in Orton Gillingham strategies through the Institute of Multisensory Education. And so all of the foundational skills, they have multisensory approaches to. The following year, we did resource and DLC teachers, as well as first grade and second grade teachers. This year, we went to morphology training rather than the foundational skills, because most of the kids, by the time they're in 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade, are reading, even if it's slowly or it's cumbersome for them. But they're getting into larger words. And so we're teaching them how to take them apart with morphology in multisensory methods with 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade. We've just started that training this year. And next year, budget pending and all, we would like to send second and third grade to the training that they haven't been to, so we could potentially shore up any teacher knowledge that we need to help make sure that our support for students is solid. There we go. So these next few slides are teachers in action with their students to kind of show you a little bit about what that looks like. This first one is a kindergarten teacher. She is doing the blending portion of a 3-part drill. And she is, so the kids are going to be reading sounds individually and blending together. And they do that orally as well as visually. Oops, that's not what was supposed to happen. Would you advance the slide? Because I wasn't supposed to start over. Yep. There we go. Okay, so this next one is dictation with their pounding and tapping, and which is part of the multisensory thing that teaches that they use, and you'll see these kiddos use them over and over again as they're also verbalizing to figure out how to spell. So when they get stuck, they try again and they keep going with their hands. Oh, no, that's starting over again. There it goes. So this is about red words, which is basically sight words, and how they do that physically as well.
Let's see, Leonie, how many letters do we have in bus? 4. We're going to touch 4 times. So in the string as you say, okay? You ready? O, N, C, E, 1,
So this next one, if you go ahead and put it forward another one. Oh, there we go. This next one is from that same lesson, but now they're going back to their desks and they're doing some writing on a bumpy board, which makes it a tactile experience for them later. This last one is their syllabication, where they are learning how to chunk words into their syllables based on where the vowels are within the words, and then using that to figure out what a word says.
Good job. Okay. Ava, can you start us? What is my first step? Okay, what do I need to find? What should I mark? A and E. Noah. Yeah, first I'm going to find my consonants, S and K. There are two of them, and Ava is right, and I'm going to break it right in between there. Ava, help me, what's this first chunk? And the second chunk? So the word is? Good job, Chris.
So those are our examples for the evening. If you would like to come and see them, feel free to sign in the office, and they do these kinds of things just about every day. So we really appreciate your time and attention learning how our teachers are learning new strategies.
Any questions from the board members?
I was just saying, I appreciate the videos, and it takes what you said and what you're doing and then lets us see it. And I think you do a good job of thinking outside the box. So thank you. Miss Sanders, is that right?
Sanderson.
Sanderson.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions about how it's done? Like I said, come on in anytime.
Thank you.
I will.
I'll just share that the new board members and myself have been making the rounds, so we'll definitely be visiting some of you, just let you know.
All right, thank you. On to item 7, public comment. We have no one signed up for public comment this evening. I'll open it up for anybody that hasn't signed up. Seeing that nobody is jumping to the microphone, I'll close the public comment period. On to item 8. Approval of minutes. We have approval of minutes from December 12, 2023 board meeting. They were in the packet. At this time, I'd entertain a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
So moved, as presented.
Okay. Call for a vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries to approve the September 12 board minutes 5-0. On to item 8B, travel requests. There were 8 in the packet, and we just added 1. Number 9, as Dr. Finch just introduced a second ago, which is an amendment or revision, if you will, to a previously approved travel request for boys basketball. The rest of the travel requests are for student activities and sports that are upcoming. we, as a board, we can take the travel requests, we can take a motion to approve all 9 at once as opposed by one. So whatever the board would like, if there are any questions, now would be the time to bring that up as well.
I'll make a motion to approve all 9 travel requests.
Okay, thank you. I'll call for a vote. All those in favor of the 9 travel requests presented, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries 5-0. Item 9, items arising.
I don't know if this is the right spot here yet, Michael, but
On board reports.
well, this is a separate one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sure, go ahead.
But I guess I was gonna ask if it would be appropriate, if maybe Mr. Finch can assign a district employee. I'd like to get an idea of other formats for school board meetings that are being done around the state. And if we could have somebody that could look into that, a district employee, and then come back with some type of report that shows us the different formats, just so that we can do the best, have the best practices and be able to create the best bridges for
Sure.
community engagement in these meetings.
Yep, very good. We can do that.
I wonder, just asking out loud, I wonder if WASDA has some outlines of as well. I mean, not that we can't look at other school districts, but if WASDA has some resources about that.
Yep, that's a good suggestion. We'll look at that.
Any other items arising? Item 10, superintendent's report.
Yeah, I just wanted to have an opportunity for the superintendent's report this month to provide an update to the board on strategic planning. The strategic planning process began last spring with the administrative team. We had a session with teacher leaders and administrators in August. We were working throughout the school year with various teams, including community members, students, staff, parents, guardians. And we also had surveys that were done in October. It's coming together in 4 areas of focus. Number 1 is a culture of safety and belonging, and that would be all schools. So culture of safety and belonging. The second area is a strong foundations, the early years, and that would be our elementary schools. Third is mastery of standards, that would be our mid-level campus. And the fourth is career pathways for our high school and innovation center. We do have an update for the entire school board with Dr. Tammy Campbell, who's been helping us to lead this work. And she'll be presenting at the next study session scheduled for Tuesday, January 23rd. That'll be at the high school. And we'll have Dr. Campbell will present as she did last May to the board. And she'll give the school board an update on Tuesday, January 23rd at the study session.
Thank you, Dr. Finch. Item 11, board reports, board development.
I'd like to just add a personal comment to the official response regarding prayer at a board meeting. And I just want to say, as a Christ follower myself, as a Christian, I absolutely pray for wisdom before and during meetings like this. So to those of you that want to pray, please, I would encourage you to silently pray for us during the week and during meetings to make wise decisions. It doesn't need to be up front at a podium or at this table. I think God hears your heart. So just wanted to make that personal comment.
Thank you.
Ditto.
Okay. I have 2 items. I have 2 items that I'd like to share. First of all, as we did prior to tonight's school board meeting, we had an executive session for the performance of a public employee, just as by way of review. The school board has 3 primary functions. 1 is to oversee and set and pass the budget. 2 is to adopt and or enact and adopt policies for the school district. And number 3 is to supervise our one and only employee, and that is the superintendent. Tonight, in executive session, we started the first of our mid-year evaluations of the superintendent. Over the coming weeks, and including next Tuesday, we will continue to deliberate in executive session on Dr. Finch's evaluation. That is our usual and standard practice in the month of January, and sometimes spilling into February, and will be our practice this summer when we conduct the final year-end evaluation of Dr. Finch. So that's probably more than I need to say about that, but in case all we're legally required to say is that we are going into executive session for the performance of a public employee, but I thought I would just add a little bit of color onto that. The second thing that I'd like to say on a personal note, we had an official response to public comment earlier, and I'd like to comment on a couple of remarks that were made by a community member in relationship to our budgeting and prioritizing the budget to the maintenance of facilities. There was a statement that was made by the community member that stated that the district and that the school board specifically transferred money from the capital projects budget to programs. I've been on the board for 10 years. I pride myself in examining very closely the books and the expenditures of monies and the budget very closely. I can pretty much accurately say without any question that it's wholly improper to take monies from the capital projects fund and transfer them to programs. That has not occurred during the time that I've been on the school board. And I would encourage anybody that would make a statement like that to actually check the records of the school district, which, by the way, are audited every single year by the state auditor's office, to challenge that assertion. The other thing that was said by this community member is that they voted out board members who voted to use the bond proceeds. That is also, the vote was the vote, and everybody has their right to vote, and I respect people's rights to vote for whomever they want on the school board. But to review, there were 5 votes that were taken relative to the use of bond proceeds. Mr. Strong voted in favor of using the remaining members of the school board. Mr. Strong voted in favor to use them. I voted against using them. There's a previous board member, Mark Mokel, who also voted against them. The 2 other board members, Mr. Jager and Mr. Meyer, voted to use. So I just want to again state that I respect the vote of the board. It was a very long, deliberate process that we undertook. Reasonable minds can disagree, but I just want to state again that a board member that was voted out actually voted not to use the school or the excess bond proceeds. Finally, I just want to say that, as I've said previously in prior community forums on this topic, that making the school budget is a challenging proposition on a number of fronts, and we have in the past fallen behind on our maintenance of our facilities. In doing the school budget, there have to be priorities that are set. Every year that I've been on the board, plans have been made where we have accounted for $1 million in the general fund budget to be transferred from the general fund to capital projects every year, in addition to monies that are already committed in the budget for the general maintenance and upkeep of our facilities. And to that end, both with Mr. McCaskill, who is the current facilities director, and Mr. Critchlow before him, our facilities department does an outstanding job taking care of all of our facilities and really maximizes the use of our funds very, very well. I've during my time on the board, I've been very closely examining that. Doesn't mean that we shouldn't have done more in the past, looking back, but I do want to set the record straight that monies were not directed from capital projects to programs, period. So I just want to be clear about that. And thank you for indulging my comments about that. Any further board reports, board development?
I have one item I would like to share, and thank you for your comments there, Mr. Thorner. They were very informative and I hope very helpful to those members in the community who like to know more about the process and gain insight into how these decisions are made. I think that's extremely important for everyone to understand. My comment actually is a little bit different, but it has a little bit to do with facilities in a peripheral way. I was contacted by Representative Chris Corey recently regarding going into their next session, what sorts of things that they could do or he could do or propose to help West Valley School District. And in particular, and I have brought this up before, I would very much, at least speaking for myself as a board member, like to see improvements on Zero Road to increase the safety of our school district and the kids and the families who use that road. In particular, I stress that we have been talking to the city. At one point, Dr. Finch and I went down to meet with the city manager to see what could be done. One of the things that came up is there's a unique program. Funding is always an issue. So let's start with that premise. And that's one of the areas that, of course, that they raise first is, the city and the county, where the money is going to come from. But they did find a program that potentially has some possibilities. It's called, I think it's
Safe Routes to
Safe
Schools.
Routes to School. And so it's very intriguing. And I brought that up and shared that with Representative Corey, who is then now looking into that and seeing what can be done. In particular, what this board member would like to see done is a sidewalk from 75th all the way up to where the football field or the high school athletic department start. Doesn't have one. There's no sidewalk there. There's no crosswalk. There's nothing there but dirt on both sides. And I think to increase safety, I would really like to see that happen. The other thing we asked for that I did want to see is it's a crosswalk on 70, I think it's 70, not 75th, 80th.
Yeah.
Going across there because there's a large gap between where 75th is and 80th, and there's not really a safe crossing. So this is just to share with you some of the things that go on behind the scenes, and also to share that, we do have someone that is looking out for us as well and is involved and is interested in what's in the best interest of our school district. So I wanted to pass that along to you just to let you know what some of your board members are up to and doing as well. So thank you.
Well, and thank you to Mr. Corey for Representative Corey for reaching out to you. We appreciate that. Anything else? All right. Well, it is 7:35 and we will adjourn.
I think there are some things for the board members to sign.